All right, so today we're back here at Hawks View again out in Lake Geneva. We've got Russell Simonis with us.
Yeah, you got it.
We are going to get into the podcast. We're going to do what we normally do. So why don't you give us a little background? Who is Russell?
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, first off, thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me on the podcast, and thanks for bringing me out here to Hawks View. It's a course I've never played, so I'm just excited about that. And
Awesome.
yeah, what you guys are doing, I think, for veterans and just mental health awareness is awesome. And combining it with golf, first off, I just think that's really cool. And I appreciate you guys for that. So me, I'm still in the service. I'm a 22-year Army veteran. I actually enlisted in, let's see, it was January of 2000. So we're getting there. And right, so a year and a half before 9/11. And I did a few years of enlisted time. I came in as a leg infantryman, and then I also got qualified as 11 Charlie Mortarman in the Wisconsin National Guard. And I did a few years doing that. I actually intended on getting out. The Iraq War was starting to kick off. I didn't really know where, what my future held, and then made a decision to take a jump to the officer side. Never really expected that to happen, but I did, and I got commissioned. I went to infantry officer basic course in 2006. I commissioned in 2005. And then did all my assignments in infantry, up until really basically the rank of major. So I was an infantry platoon leader, anti-armor company executive officer. Went to Iraq in 2009, primarily doing a variety of different types of escort missions around the Baghdad AOR. So we weren't like, wasn't doing the traditional 11 Bravo mission, if you will.
Yeah.
And as things were slowing down there, that was OIF3. So, and since then, I'm now a major. I got promoted to major back in 2017, and I'm still in the service. And I work full time for the Wisconsin Army National Guard. So, that's me professionally. Personally, I live just outside of Madison, Wisconsin. I grew up originally by the Stevens Point area.
Okay.
So up north, my dad was in the Navy. He served for 4 years from 1972 to 1976, and then my dad, or my grandfather, who's deceased, was a Korean War veteran as well. So, really proud, I think, of my family, lineage, and to be able to kind of continue in service is really cool for me.
Let me ask you just a real quick side question, because I haven't actually met a lot of service members that were in like right before
Sure.
everything kicked off in 2000, 2001. What was it like from being in, like, even till, like, right up when 9/11 happened? How much did things, like, in 6 months change? Or did they not?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and they did change. Initially, as things really started changing, I think especially on the National Guard side of the house, maybe a little bit more as we got into late 2002 and into 2003 when the Iraq campaign was kicking off. A lot of special forces type operations and things like that in Afghanistan in 2001 when we initially were, trying to chase down the Taliban, Osama bin Laden, things like that. But we started seeing a lot of new equipment come in. A lot more money, of course, is coming into recruiting, and the flavor of the organization, for the National Guard really started to change too. National Guard units had not been really deployed, on a large scale into combat operations going back maybe even to Vietnam. Some involvement in Panama, Grenada, and some other, not smaller conflicts, but maybe lesser known conflicts. So it did change. There were suddenly more personnel around, you just feel the flavor of everything change. And, I think it was for us that were really young at the time. I was maybe 20 or 21 or something when 9/11 happened. I think you signed up and you're like, we're, good opportunity to go to college and, maybe help the community or something. And things got much more real, in a hurry at that time. And, but I'll tell you what, one thing that didn't happen is people were so ready to serve.
That's awesome.
Like they were running, they were running to their recruiters. That's 20 years ago now, which is scary, but like how much the world's changed. But they were really running to the recruiters, and there wasn't a single person who was in boots that was like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with this. They were so committed to whatever was coming next, whatever that may be.
Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. Looking forward to talking to you a little more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like what you hear on the show? Are you a vet or first responder? Has a game of golf been something that you've been able to fall back on when you're dealing with some hard times? If you're interested in being on the show and you live in southeast Wisconsin, feel free to reach us at joseph.malsack@hftr.us. And if you want, we can get you out here, talk about your story, share Hawk's view with you, and have a good time.
All right, so Russ, now that we talked a little bit about who you are and your military background a little bit, give us a little bit of history on your background with the game of golf.
Yeah, so thanks. I actually started playing golf really young. My dad started dragging me to the golf course when I was probably like 7 or 8 years old, and I just kind of, hit balls, and he'd go out and play with his buddies.
Right.
And I fell in love with the game instantly. My dad bought me a junior set of Northwesterns. It had like this, it was like this green and white bag. It said Touring Pro on it. I thought I was the coolest guy on earth at the time, right? Like,
Hell
just
yeah.
because I had my own golf bag. Like, it came with a 5-iron, 7-iron, 9-iron, and like a putter and a 2-wood. And it was like one of the most vivid memories I have. And then, like, once I got into my high school years, I was actually probably playing some of my best golf when I was like 17, 18 years old, where I probably got close to, where I was averaging somewhere between 85 and 90. And then for like 20 years, I just stagnated. I didn't progress with the game. I didn't put any real effort into it. I'd maybe go play like 10, 15 times a year.
Yeah.
And I had
Sounds like a little bit of effort.
a little
new
bit,
golfer.
yeah. But it wasn't like practicing. I didn't
Right.
go to the driving range. I didn't do anything like that. And then a couple of years ago, for some reason, things started clicking with my irons, and it didn't really make any sense. I didn't know why things were clicking. So I just but I started shooting more closer to how I did when I was like a teenager. So my passion for the game just got totally reignited, and ultimately I decided this year to actually start my own golf YouTube channel because I've been playing so much, and I've been enjoying doing that. And I'm trying to get my handicap down to, hopefully, I'm a 9 right now. I'm trying to get down to the 5-6 range, and hopefully, when I retire, try to potentially get an instructor certificate. It's like, or I would just drive the lawnmower at the golf course is the backup plan, right? Because I love being outside. I love playing the game, and I've been around it my whole life, so it's just a comfortable place for me. So.
Yeah. Do you? So you said you were. Did you already start the YouTube channel?
I did, yeah. So the channel is called, it's the Back 9 Golf.
Okay.
It's small. I just actually posted our episode 9 today. But yeah, we do a variety of scrambles with my friends. Some just individual play, me just going out and playing, maybe setting a target score. I do drone flyovers on courses, just take the drone out and then post those up as kind of separate episodes. And so it's been pretty cool. I made a couple of eagles this year, so I got to capture those, which was neat. But yeah, if you guys want to check it out, if you just search for like the Back 9 Golf with the number 9, the back, and then the number 9 Golf, and you'll find it. You'll see me on there.
Back 9 Golf. We'll put it on there for you.
Yeah. So
Awesome. Appreciate it.
yeah, thanks.
So let's make some more birdies, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
So if you're a vet or a first responder and you want to come to a golf camp, come to be at one of the Next 18 events, all you need to do is go online to next18.org. You can find us on Facebook, you can find us on LinkedIn, and you can find us on Instagram currently. All of those resources have links to get to our website to find our application page. Or you can reach out to me, Matt, M-A-T-T, at next18.org. I can give you any information you need. We would love to have you at a camp. And I realize you might be asking yourself, yeah, we're going to go play golf. Do I really want to deal with my mental health? Do I really want to deal with some of these things that I'm not a fan of dealing with? I think you should come here. You should get the resources and just be open-minded to maybe living a healthier, happier life. These guys are having a great time. So this question that we typically ask is, what were some of your highlights and lowlights when you were in? But seeing that you're still in, the 22 years you've been in, what have been some of those high moments, you know, the really like, this is why I joined, but also maybe we can touch on like one or two of the not good ones.
Sure.
Right.
Well, you know, this might be a bit of a surprising answer, but being as a National Guardsman, probably actually assisting with the COVID-19 response was the first time that I think we ever did something, you know, on the domestic side that really felt like it wasn't like putting sandbags down or, you know, which, right, the protection of people's private property and things like that, and businesses are always of interest, but that was such an uncertain time, you know, not just for the military, but for, you know, the country, the world. And, you know, I was lucky enough to be part of a task force that was setting up all these different National Guard testing stations around the state. And just knowing that, you know, especially early on when people didn't know, right? They wanted to go visit their grandma. How do they know that they're not putting their grandmother at risk?
Yeah.
And, you know, we were enablers, you know, for something like that. It's, you know, it's different from the traditional military type duty that I think a lot of people associate with the military, but as a National Guardsman, I don't know, I took a lot of pride in that, right? Because we were helping people back at home, and you just, you know, other than that, you know, you're helping people overseas, so that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Low times or low periods. You know, it's hard to say. I think everybody has maybe worked for less than stellar leaders, and whether, you know, I know we have a you know, first responder element, you know, affiliated with you all, and a lot of veterans and personnel. One thing I really enjoy about being in the service is the people, right? The connections that you make, the friends that you make, and then a lot of cases the people that you work for, right? Because your supervisors often are going to shape a large part of your experience, if it's a good one or it's a bad one.
Yeah.
And so I've enjoyed the military so much, and even the worst missions, you know, that's part of the job. But I think probably the toughest times were maybe situations where I worked with leaders that, you know, were unethical or, you know, maybe there for themselves and, you know, not for the soldiers, you know, and toxic, right? And as an officer, you know, that's one thing that I'm very passionate about. It's, you know, when I talked about making the jump from enlisted to officer, you know, that was one of the big reasons. You know, a lot of people, you know, maybe join the service and they're like, I don't like how this is, right? I don't like my experience. And there was times I felt that way too, but it was like, well, I have an option to, you know, exit the service, or I can put myself in a situation to change that experience for other soldiers, right? And so I think that was a big thing that motivated me to switch, you know, over to the officer side. But it was also, you know, some of the tougher points in my career is, you know, in those situations where maybe you're working for somebody that, you know, just wasn't a good fit, or maybe just wasn't a good person to be in that leadership type role.
Yeah, I hear you. Toxic leadership in the military can be extremely detrimental to a lot of different things, especially like mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Experienced that on my own, so
yeah,
I hear you. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Russell. Typically, this is the point where we'll talk about stigmas that you face when you get out of the military. But just kind of, since you're still in, give us kind of a breakdown of some of the stigmas you see while you're in that may force some people to want to get out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. And I guess I would want to preface it with it. I feel like the organization as a whole has probably gotten a little bit better at managing some of those things, but without question, you know, it's that you know, you've got to be extremely physically fit. You've got to be a top 300 PT performer. Now that the test has changed a little bit, but you know that you've got to be you know, the freaking best all the time, right? And you know, we're you know, I guess we're not all, you know, the biggest, baddest, toughest guys out there. I mean, I'm built like a marshmallow, you know. I mean, so and so that's, I think, always been tough. It gets tougher in the combat arms communities. Um, you know, just trying to think of some others. And some you'll probably have to cut part here as I'm kind of thinking through the next part of the response.
Suck it off, emotions will get you
Yeah.
killed, shit like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because so much of that has changed in the last 5 years.
I mean, I remember being airborne
Yeah.
and we were running through, you know, Bragg, and it's like, look at those
Yep.
shitty legs. Fuck them. You're better than them.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's a. Yeah, and one element that I would, you know, probably highlight too is that, you know, there's these different tiers throughout the service, right? That maybe one group is better than the other. I think about the Army aviators, and that's certainly not a shot at the aviators. I have many friends who are aviators, right? But you know, you know, they might walk around with their chest a little higher. They got their aviator sunglasses on, right? They feel like they're at a different level of soldier or whatever it may be compared to someone who's like leg infantry or something to that effect. They certainly exist, and you know, I think one thing that's been prevalent too is the males versus females, right? We've done a lot over the course of the last few years to integrate the force and integrate females into a lot of situations, and the stigmas, you know, traditionally have been, you know, a woman can't do what a man can do, right? And of course, we understand that, you know, just from general physics, right? And strength, there's, you know, men are naturally stronger creatures. However, you know, women can be integrated into certain types of units and certain types of, not just military, but when you think about firefighters, first responders, police officers, that they are level and in many cases, you know, superior in their, you know, to men and their capabilities to do these jobs. And so I think that's always been a big one too. But again, I see a lot of improvements in those areas as we're kind of moving forward.
Awesome.
Thanks for hanging out with us today here at Hawks View as we wrapped up episode 1 with Russell Simonis. Join us next week to follow up with us as we finish part 2. If you liked what you watched, like, subscribe, share right here, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks.